Well, hey there, YouTube, Internet, petey Two Finger here. I built this EQ. It's a $5 circuit. It was listed as NE5532, Hi-Fi 3-band EQ, and that's an integrated circuit chip. It's an op amp. It's a more expensive chip because it sounds good and it draws a lot more current. So if you open up most household electronics, stereos, radios and stuff, and they're using an op amp, they're not going to use a 5532 because it's expensive and it draws more current. They're going to use a TL072, which there's nothing wrong with that chip. It's a fine chip. Anyway, I hadn't made music for a while. I've been on a break, about a 3-month break. My hand went numb. So tonight we fired the stuff back up, and there was a hum. There was a loud hum. I was playing around with this EQ. Of course, we eliminated the power supplies and installed batteries on as much stuff as we could. And I still had this hum. And I remembered, you know what, I always had hum with that EQ. I was just dealing with it. I was just, you don't really hear it when you're playing, but in between songs you hear this hum. So today I wasn't having it, and I tore everything apart, chasing the hum down. You know how I solved it? A lot of times on some circuits you'll see isolated ground, where you can try the ground on the power input or on the PCB, the main ground, and then check ground points, and you'll see, well, hey, there's no ground on the output. Or even on the input. It's isolated ground circuit. And if you go ahead and apply ground there, the circuit will malfunction. So, how did I fix the hum? This is a little excuse me for getting sidetracked. You connect a wire in between the input and output jack on the ground rail, and that silenced it. So, through the process, grasping at straws, laying hands, and speaking in tongues, trying to figure out how to fix this thing, I pulled the op amp chips out. And when I looked at them, there's an image of Texas Instruments makes chips, integrated circuit chips. And this image of Texas with a little TI, and it's tiny. It's like the size of 4 head of a pin. And these chips, it doesn't really look like Texas. It looked more like Puerto Rico. So I know one thing, and that's that the NE5532 draws a lot more current. So I set up a current test. After I fixed this, I put a current test. I tested it stock with the stock chips, and it drew 0.005 amps. Then I installed legitimate Texas Instruments TL072, which is the op amp that draws less current than the NE5532, which is installed in here. And they were pulling double the current. So what does that tell me? Well, these chips are fake. And you think, when I first heard about, I was like, no way. Some Chinese company's going to make a bunch of chips and then paint the fake number. They're getting these chips and they're sanding them off and writing a new number. Well, that isn't really how it happens. It's a company that makes these things, and when they get to the step where they're going to print on them, they go, hey, you Chinese, me play joke, me put petey in your op amp. And they just change the number. They make whatever crappiest, worst op amp they can make, and then they write NE5532 on there. Because if they wrote TL072, they would only be able to sell it for half as much money. So it's a fact of life. I had ordered 2 rounds of sets of 10 for $2.99 NE5532. I had some projects coming up that were going to use them. I was concerned about the COVID shipping, so I just doubled up on it. Now I'm sitting on 2 bags, 20 of them, that are counterfeit. Because when I got all my chips out and started comparing, plopping stuff in here and taking readings, I noticed, oh, hey, the ones where Texas looks like Puerto Rico, I got 20 more of those, and they read the exact same current draw. So, drum roll please, I have a pair of legitimate NE5532 op amps, the good ones. The reason I kind of know about this is there's a mod for a Boss GEQ7. It's the Boss guitar pedal, the equalizer. And people, they like to modify it. They replace these capacitors with film caps, which bring down the hiss, and they're better for audio. Then what they do, there'll be 3 op amp chips in that pedal. They replace all 3 of those TL072 chips with an NE5532. And at that point, the pedal draws a lot more current. So it'll say on the back, this pedal draws 60 milliamps. Well, no, it doesn't. Not after you changed out those crappy op amp, weak op amp chips for the much more power-hungry hi-fi NE5532. So reading about that and understanding that concept, it triggered the idea in me to go through, see what chips I have. I had some legit NE5532s that the Texas looked like Texas. They were from Tata, which hats off to Tata. I think they don't really sell as much counterfeit stuff as people. I've seen people. I saw one guy berating Tata. He was like, "I'm never going to buy it." And it's like, then I realized that guy owns a business that sells pedal parts in Australia. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe you're better off not commenting if you're the owner. Make another account and make that comment. Anyway, Chromosphere. That's the guy. Excuse me. So the NE5532, the legit Texas Instruments ones, they draw .016, or was it? Yeah. And the stock was .005. So over 3 times the amount of power. Now I've got the proper chips installed. We filmed this whole thing on this 10 megapixel camera that I just got. I had a 8 gig card in here that I had got from eBay. Used the card 3 times and the card failed today. So I'm recommending, if you're buying a lot of TIFF cards, SD cards, flash memory, don't get it on eBay like me. I've been buying it on eBay, and this is the first time we really had a problem with it. But there's a cheaper local solution for me. I live by a micro center, and we have never had a problem with their house brand of memory. Their memory cards, TIFF cards, SD cards, and thumb drives. So that type of stuff, you know, I mean, these are like 4 gig cards that I'm using to put music on. These are cards, we've got a collection of like about 30, right?
Cameras or cards?
Yeah, cameras.
Yeah, we have a problem.
We have a problem with cameras. A lot of them are under 10 meg pixels, so they got to go. But it's not a big deal. I mean, I'm paying $3 to $4 per card. That being said, the Micro Center ones are cheaper. They're like $1 cheaper, and we've never had a problem. So that's my lecture: is watch out for the super cheap stuff on eBay. There really never is going to be a good deal when you're buying stuff from people overseas. And more often than not, if it looks like it's too good to be true, it is. They are counterfeiting everything. Everything. And I didn't believe it. I tend to read that. People saying, don't get your stuff from eBay. And I'm like, because I look at the shipping, I look at the how much you pay when you buy from DigiKey and Mauser, and I can't afford it. I can't afford to do it. So I've got to find some kind of compromise, and that's where places like Tata and just biting the bullet. And when you have to, you got to order from small beer. You know, I'm building a Thunderbird, which is a real pain in the neck parts list bomb on that. That's about the worst one I've ever done. 9mm pots, which you can't get anywhere. They're out of stock everywhere, or they're $4 a piece. Tantalum capacitors, just like. Anyway, I hope that thing sounds good. I ordered all WEMA capacitors for it. It's going to be a lunchbox amp, a miniature Marshall with a 100-watt amp board. So look forward to that. It's going to be a really good sounding device when I eventually finish it, which will be in a while. So that's coming down the pike. Anyway, you guys, don't be an idiot. Don't be gullible like me. There isn't a good deal. That's a fact of life. Anyway, I'll see you guys around. Peace.